Good evening, America. Sports Reports is ordered. Yes, you are now listening to the sounds of Sports Reports is ordered. And even though the Phoenix Suns are load managing, we not. We ain't gonna leave you hanging like you're Harden at the airport.
Not at all. 82 games.
We here.
All
It's
17
Thursday.
NFL games.
We got picks. We got
162.
previews. We got the World Series starting tomorrow. How many people actually know that the World Series starts tomorrow?
I don't
That's
think
what I
baseball
wanna know.
cares.
So, over here, we got the one and only, world famous, bringing it to your dome, foot on your neck, Mr. Logical. And I am that some bitch they call 2-5. Sports Reports is ordered is here, and we're going to get you started with a little bit of get it off my chest.
All right, yeah. So, like I said, I talk about my sons and their sports careers. This is a bit of a somber, get off my chest, but we, as parents and fans, we are supporting a teammate. His stepfather is suffering with brain cancer, so they have a playoff game tomorrow. So a lot of us bought this hoodie, Support Squad. If you can't read it, it says, "We don't like you either, brain cancer." He's suffering from brain cancer. He's been suffering for that for over a year. Very, very, very good dude. Like I said, I don't want to mention his name because, like I said, I didn't clear with the family, so I don't want to put their information out. But just a good dude. He was one of the coaches with the league. It's big, just a big personality. One of those those hardworking blue collar guys you need to have around. I don't think I've ever seen him with sleeves on a t-shirt in the summertime at these practices. Just the cutoff shirt, the beard, just a big jovial guy, big helpful guy, and it's just unfortunate that he's not in a winning position with this with cancer. So heart goes out to the family, condolences out to the family as they're battling in his later days. I believe he's in hospice care. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make it to the game tomorrow, but he made it to all the games this year, even the JV games. So just he's there. Personality is still on point. It's just it's just very sad how a cancer can just kind of ravage a person's body, but hopefully it galvanizes people to understand, like, yo, this time we have on this rock as it rotates around the sun isn't very long. It's limited. Every day the ticker goes. Every day that passes, that ticker goes. You don't get time added on. So enjoy that time. And when your time is getting close to the end, just be thankful and excited for the people who are around you, support you, the people that support your family. Because in the moment that you pass, you're still going to want your family to be supported. They're still going to be here on this rock. So once again, like I said, just support a family member, because when you play sports and you play football, especially, and you played here in anywhere in Jersey, it is a family operation. There's plenty of times where you've had 3 sets of shoulder pads in your trunk because you picked up your kid, his friend, and another kid, and you dropped them all off, and you took them all the games, or after the game, you take them all to Chick-fil-A. Like, it becomes a family. Like my son has been at he told me at one of the games, he's like, I've seen your son this summer just as much as I see my own, because they were there because they had 2-a-day practices. So, it's just heartfelt condolences to them and their family, and hopefully we can pull off this miracle victory tomorrow. Number 16 team ranked in the playoffs versus number 1 team, so it's gonna be tough, but we're showing our support as best we can.
For sure. Prayers and well wishes to the family. I've been through that. The wife had cancer a few years ago. Thyroid cancer, had to get it taken out and everything. So, definitely very humbling and changes your perspective on a whole lot of things. You know what I'm saying? So, for
100%.
sure. So for sure, hopefully, the family can get through this. It's going to be a rough time, and like people out here, we supporting y'all. We thinking about y'all. You know, so get it off my chest. I know those who know me personally are going to call me a hater. You know what I'm saying? Because they know that I've been trying to get Black Brad, and I only call him Black Brad because I associate Brad with like a white name, but Black Brad, Bradley Beal, is I was trying to get him off of the Wizards for like the last 3 years so we can start this rebuild. So now he went over to Phoenix. He's out there with Devin Booker. He's out there with Kevin Durant. And he sat out opening night. And I'm like, okay. They said he had a sore back. Like, I'm like, okay, my back hurts sometimes. And maybe if I could get off work, I would too. But he's not playing tonight either. And then they're like, oh, Devin Booker's out with a foot injury. And I'm like, hey, even Kawhi played the other night. Like, what are we doing right here? So load management, right? I know that everybody has their opinion on it one way or the other. Some people say it's smart. We're trying to save the players until the playoffs, and so that way they're at their apex of their abilities. Some of us say, yo, we watched Michael Jordan and all these other people from the 80s play through injury, play through being hurt. Whether it was smart or not is a whole nother issue. But we just know that our athletes from our generation didn't miss a game unless they had to. So
Correct.
With that being said, okay, load management. The NBA has come up with this rule that you have to play 65 games to be eligible for the awards, to be eligible for the All-NBA teams. That's fine. But the season just started. Like, can you play like 3 games and maybe your back gets a little sore and you sit out on a random Tuesday night? Not opening night, not in LA playing against the Lakers right now, where I know people pay top dollar for those seats.
While you're talking, I'm gonna look it up. Keep going.
And you're not playing because your back hurts. Because what's wrong with Devin Booker's foot? He looked okay to me when he was shooting like 70% against the Warriors the other night. And now all of a sudden his foot hurts and he can't play. But with that being said, what's going to make me even madder is if the Lakers keeps this shit up and are letting the Suns beat them right now without Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, you at least got to make them pay and suffer if they're not going to play their best players. But I got 52-48 right now. Eric Gordon with the ball. He kicks it out. We got time running out. The Suns didn't get the shot off. So 52-48 halftime, Phoenix over the Lakers right now. So if the Lakers lose this game with no Devin Booker, no Bradley Beal, I'm not trying to hear it's going to take time to gel. I'm not trying to hear it. But what I'm not trying to hear, and what I hope doesn't happen, is that I hope the rest of these NBA teams don't follow the Suns playbook. And while we're at it, hold on. We got Buffalo with a 4th and 1. 31 seconds left. They just called timeout. I guess they were trying to get Tampa offsides. So it looks like they're going to punt 24-18, 31 seconds left.
Yeah. You're a little bit behind.
Oh, okay. Oh, you got in front of me. How about that?
Amazon. I'm on the Amazon.
I'm on my phone. Yeah, I'm on my phone. Yeah.
We got 16 seconds, 2nd and 3 for Tampa Bay.
I got the Lakers game on my TV.
They're on their own 30-something. No timeouts. Baker just did. Oh, they blew the whistle for something.
Todd Bowles always looks like he's thinking like I could be doing something better right now.
Hold on.
Like he just never looks engaged.
Oh, Buffalo called a timeout before the snap, so it's going back to 16 seconds. But
I'm going to refresh.
On the tickets and the fans being upset, and this is the argument that I was making before the season ended last year. Los Angeles Lakers versus Phoenix Suns tickets for the best available currently have a maximum price of $21,404 maximum. That's the court side, the crypto people money, and the influencer money seats. Fans looking at tickets for the game will find an average price of a single ticket to be around $693. That was 10 hours ago. from Ticketmaster. So you're charging people $693 because the Phoenix Suns with Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant are coming to town to play AD and LeBron, and you're only getting 60% of that grouping on the court, and you want to charge them $693. They should be able to get 40% of that money back.
Facts. You know what I'm saying? So
That's
yeah.
like that's the only thing that's going to curb this load management is your marquee star that allows me to increase the price of the ticket. If that person doesn't play, you are liable to pay the insurance, or if you spend $3 on the insurance for your ticket, we'll call the LMI, load management insurance. You pay the $3 to $5, whatever it is, so Ticketmaster, whomever can get their little cut, because that's all insurance is a scam anyway. But we'll get on that topic later.
Mm-hmm.
If someone makes a claim like, hey, I paid this inflated price because this star, Zion Williamson, Kawhi Leonard, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Julius Randle, if these guys were coming to town and you increased the price and I paid it and these guys didn't play, you owe me a percentage back.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes from the team that didn't got in play, not the NBA. The NBA is like, no, hey, Phoenix, you owe this much in load management fees.
Well, speaking of the NBA, how about my sixth man of the year pick, Emmanuel Quickly, with 24 points against the Celtics last night? Kristaps Porzingis with the good debut, 30 points. Then he had what the NBA makes me sick. Like, I don't know if you saw the play where he grabbed the rebound and he's trying to clear space. Hartenstein's all up on him.
Slapped him in the face.
Yeah, and they were like trying to review it for a hostile act. And I'm like, yo, he's bearing down on me. What do you want me to do?
The best part is when the trainer comes out and treats the potential blood or whatever on the lip of Hardenstein on the floor.
Yeah.
So like the trainer comes out with a glove.
And it was dumb because they gave a tech. They gave Porzingis a tech. And then they called a foul on Hartenstein that led to Porzingis taking 2 free throws because they were in the penalty.
Yeah,
and
so
the whole thing was just dumb.
They called the foul. Well, this okay. They threw a Hail Mary with no time
I'm
left.
watching your TV right now. I'm watching your TV because I'm still behind you.
Chris Godwin, if he could have got his head around 1 second earlier, he probably could have caught it. Well, this is a hold here. But they're never going to call that.
Yeah, they're not going to call that on a Hail Mary.
Unless you grab the face
mask. Yeah. So, but yeah, so the Celtics look good, but the Celtics did a lot of going through motions last night. They were like up and down. Like they would go on like a 10-0 run here. They would go on like a 13-4 there.
Oh, so it's 2021, 2022 again?
Yeah. And then if you blinked, like the Knicks were back up by 3 or something like that. And you're like,
Porzingis looked like what people think Wembanyama is gonna look like all the time.
Right.
Last night.
Right.
So it was good. But yeah, get off my chest. NBA load management is excessive. They got to figure it out. And you got to start hurting people where the money is. Follow the money. Like that's what people care about. So the fan experience, the fans still gonna get the experience. You're gonna see an NBA game, you're gonna get the popcorn, you're gonna get the beer, the hot dogs, you're gonna even unless none of the stars play and they only play, second and third string guys, like it's the last game of the season, you locked up the playoffs, more than likely you're gonna get a top-notch level experience. I think a couple NBA games I went to in Utah, I saw Steph Curry before he had was it after the 50-point night I think it might have been after. Yeah. Because I think he had that 50-point night, 55 points, something like that. It was like 2009 when my son was born, around that time. And I believe they came to Utah the following season, but he still didn't have that following that he has now. The Jazz are always a good, solid team. So it was fun. It was good. I think we were like row 13 or something like that behind the backboard. It's a great way to watch a basketball game.
All
But
right, so
really, the ambiance of the basketball game is good enough. But if you're gonna charge me $700, I need everybody to play.
all right, here you go. Pop quiz. I played in the NBA Finals last year, and I went 7 for 13 from 3 in the season opener last night. Who am I?
NBA Finals. I am Max Struess.
Yes, you are. And you tied Donovan Mitchell for the most points on the team last night with 27. So wow. Like that's all I gotta say about that. It's just wow,
Yeah.
And even with him scoring 27, they only beat the Nets by 1. Cam Thomas came out with 36 points. So I made the joke in the group last night. At the time he had 33 points. And I know last season we used to talk about how he would score 44 points and then play 5 minutes the next game.
Was
So
this?
now Cam Thomas up in Brooklyn. So now that
Or
he
he'd be a
scored,
healthy scratch.
yeah, so he scored 36 points last night. So, is he going to play the next game? Is he going to get minutes now?
Even if you don't play any defense, if you're my if you're my third offensive scoring option and you play limited defense, but you still can give me 25 to 27 points when you get hot, I'll let it slide because I'll just put in a guy that I don't need to score
Mm-hmm.
just to be his help side defense. Like, listen, man, just funnel everything to Thompson or insert whatever NBA name you want. Just like I need you out there because you're a bucket. Because I know defense wins championships, but you're not gonna have a lot of games 77 to 76. You might need to get 98 to 112 points, 98 to 105 points on a nightly
Right.
basis, and know you can hit that 100 points. Like you have to know there's a few guys on my team that can get me 20. I think some teams are gonna suffer with that. Some teams are gonna thrive with it, like the Spurs. I watched them last night, Spurs versus Mavericks. I think they're going to be good because I think they're going to be in a situation where getting 16 and 19 points from a collective of guys every night won't hurt the guys feeling who got 19 the night before.
Devin Vassell. He just got
I,
paid.
I think he went like 8. He was like 8 for 19 when I looked at one point, and he had about 19 points. I was like, that's what you want. You want a point. You want a point per shot.
Yeah,
That's how
they
you know
had
the
a
guys
chance to win
getting.
that game too. Obviously the experience took over at the end. Luka went ham with his 33-point triple double. That's just what he does. Hopefully for his sake, he could get into the MVP conversation because he puts up the numbers, but the team doesn't always come with him. So we'll
Luka,
see how that goes. Yeah. So we'll see
I
how
think
that
he's
goes.
always been in it, but I think the last few years, everybody else, if you think about like 5 years ago, the MVP conversation was Harden, KD, Steph, LeBron, and that was kind of it. And then when these other guys catapulted themselves to the top, Jokic, huge numbers, Giannis, huge numbers, Embiid, huge numbers. It just Luka was also in that group. So like these 4 guys jumped the original 5 group from the mid to 2010s until like 2017, 18. That group of 4 just made a jump at the same time. So his numbers were comparable to all the other 3, except
Mm-hmm.
that Denver would tend to have more wins because
Mm-hmm.
Jokic was just for some reason Denver just was built a little better to have more wins. And B was a little flashier and bigger, and he was making like 6'3" guard moves, but at 7'2" kind of thing. Giannis was like a freak, so what he was doing was just unbelievable. And Luka was just super consistent, but it wasn't a lot of above the rim stuff. So
So
it just when they ranked it based off of points, the stats, and then the eye test, he just was 4th in the eye
let
test.
me ask you a random question. So I know you try to be, you're Mr. Logical,
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
So do you have a player that you have a love-hate relationship with?
Anthony Davis.
Okay. That makes sense.
That's that's the guy.
Since you're a LeBron fan, that makes sense.
It's it's partially. I don't want to say it's partially that. I think, like I said, because everyone's gonna talk about the Lakers, so we don't really need to get like super like deep into it. But what it is for me is like how I just mentioned that pocket of four players, the Giannis, Embiid, Jokic, Luka, how they all at the same time took their game to the next level after a couple of years of kind of seeing, okay, this is how they defend me. This is how I get calls. This is my best
He was supposed to be in
move.
that group.
He was supposed to be in that group. And I think he was supposed to be the leader of that group because we had the New Orleans years where he had a head start.
And you had the college.
You had the college. But in college, he was on a blue chip team. It was like everybody on the team was a 5-star. I think they all of them went number one overall, in my opinion. It seemed like because even the guys that should have gone in the first round, like it slipped up to the second, the Harrison twins, those guys, stuff like that. Carl Towns was on that team. So what happened with AD was that he was supposed to be essentially the leader of the new school of players.
Mm-hmm.
And all these other guys passed him. Okay, that's fine. It happens. But then for 3 years, all the chatter has been, all these other guys are passing AD. When is AD going to step up, be the man? When is AD going to do this? And it's like, okay, we're hearing it. I know you're hearing it. But last night he goes 6 for 17. Happens. But you only got 1 rebound in the first half, 0 points in the second half. But then you'll come out here, hit the 3, and he's doing the arm thing. I'm like, dog, where was that the other day when you went 6 for 17? So it's like Giannis might give you 25 points, and it might be like 8 for 22 shooting. It might be a bad night. But then he's also going to come back another night and give you 32 points, and it'll be like 12 for 17. So like,
and he's going to have 13 rebounds.
13 rebounds.
3 blocks.
3 blocks, 4 or 5 assists. He's gonna have the hustle plays. He's gonna have the plays that make the defense have to adjust to him. AD, you literally can just put your best defender that's over 6'9" on him and just watch him like not take over the game. And that's my love-hate relationship with him. Because I can't be like, oh, you're not talented. Because I'm like, I can't say someone's not talented. I'm just like,
well,
why aren't you? Why didn't your statistical jump go along with the rest of these guys when you guys are in the same pocket?
My love-hate player is Rayford Young, better known as Trey. Because
that's a good one. That's a good one.
Because like he's so entertaining. Like Kyrie's my favorite player, and Trey Young is like, he's not my second favorite player, but he's like the player that I like to watch next to Kyrie. And so every
Donovan Mitchell, I like watching Donovan.
Yeah,
Mitchell.
Same thing.
Talking about watching Donovan Mitchell, just like I like watching this dude.
Yeah, it just frustrates me.
And Dame is another one too. It's a lot of these guys, and you just
and so of course, I was like, how if somebody asked me, tell me one reason that that the NBA is back. And I'm like, yo, Trey Young went 4 for 19, but went 14 for 15 from the free throw line. The NBA is back. That's Trey Young. And they lost to the Hornets. So the NBA is back. That's so, I mean, not to take a shot at the Falcons, but that's so Atlanta. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And so, but what pissed me off last night,
we're not even talking about the Falcons, but
what pissed me off last night was I was looking so forward to these Thompson twins, and they went a combined 4 for 17 last night. Wow.
I wanted to knock Wemby for his game because, like I said, I was watching with the sound off because I was watching Top Boy on Netflix, so I was watching the game with the sound off on the iPad right next to me. And I was seeing that he was like 2 for 4 with 6 points for a long time. And I looked and he just kept getting in foul trouble. So I think it's just a matter of learning how to play in the NBA, what the rest lets you get away with, what your defender is going to get away with. and what works, because it was a lot of times where I don't know if it's the Spurs because they are just such a team that's probably coached on working the system. But there's a few times where I thought they probably should have got the pass into him, like he ran a floor, maybe an outlet pass, and they just kind of kept it simple, brought the ball up, and they played hard. But I saw a graphic today. I guess he had the same line as Tim Duncan had in his first game.
Yeah.
He's got to stay out of foul. He has to stay out of foul trouble. If he stays out of foul trouble, no one made a shot over him. So I don't even think he has to try to block shots. I think he can kind of even maybe pull it back and just extend instead of jumping as high as he can. Just extend, keeping his feet low, and that way he can just run out on every jumper that he closes out to contest. He could probably not fully extend, just kind of run out, let the jumper go, and then run out and get. I think he'll get like 8 points a game off of that because people see him coming, and they're just shooting the ball like they're Kevin Durant, like trying to shoot it way over his arms. He's like, yo, just close out hard. People are gonna shoot it crazy, and then just get a quick run out.
Kevin Durant with 18 and 6 right now, 55-50 Suns, early third quarter. But, speaking of foul trouble, DeAndre Ayton had 2 fouls before he even took his warm-ups off.
Yo, DeAndre Ayton, I would say I have a love-hate relationship with him too, but I want to see him. I want to see him succeed because I'm sick of the narrative that the big man has no place in today's NBA because the big man defends. He defends the rim, and he rebounds.
Yeah.
Those are all the things that you need to win. Like, yes, you need a score. Like we talked about the points in, but like we just talked about Victor, just his length. Like, look at Eric Gordon guarding Taurean Prince, and he put up a terrible little turnaround.
Yeah, why he didn't go to the basket?
Because he was being defended. He was being defended, and like everyone's standing around watching him.
Nobody was down there to grab the rebound. This is the Lakers, y'all. But I was looking around, I was excited to watch Scoot Henderson. And then I realized as I was watching like the first quarter of that game, I was like, yo, I don't think Chauncey ran a training camp. I think they just showed up to LA and was like, yo, let's play ball. And they just went out there and started doing stuff. They had no rhyme or reason to anything that they were doing.
You know how like we talk about the NFL coaching tree and guys getting hired based off of their relationships?
Yeah, Zach Taylor.
I think the NBA coaching hires, a lot of it is he was a good point guard, championship point guard. He's like the coach on the floor, and these guys get hired. Jason Kidd, Tyronn Lue, Mark Jackson. What's the boy name with the raspy voice? Doc Rivers. Who else is a point guard?
Yeah, I guess that's why I'm not on ESPN anymore.
Phillips, Nate McMillan was a point guard. Magic Johnson was a point guard. Keep it going. Steve Nash was a point guard. Let's go. Keep going. These are just names of people that got fired. Derek Fisher got fired a lot.
Yeah.
Jason Kidd got fired. Steve Nash got fired. Stan Van Gundy, he seemed like he probably was a point guard in college.
Jock Vaughn got fired, but
Vaughn got fired.
He's coaching the Nets right now, so but he got fired at one point.
Yeah, so I think just this idea that if a guy's a point guard, he's a good coach. Doesn't always work out. Chauncey might not have a good philosophy. He might not be able to really connect with the players that give him to follow through because some of their NBA playoffs games were like 73-69. Like, you're not getting that.
Chauncey strikes me as that guy where like Scoot comes over and he's like, what's going on out there, man? And Scoot's like, well, they're trapping me. So whenever I try to pass to my right, there's always a second body. And then Chauncey would say something like, well, I dealt with that in Detroit, and
You just got to beat the
yeah,
trap.
like you just gotta beat it, like you know what I mean. And that's like the end of the conversation. You know
Chauncey
what I mean?
Billups seems like he wears a FUBU outfit to the cookout. They're like, hey, we're gonna have a players cookout. Coach to show up, and he shows up in a FUBU. A matter of fact, I saw Chauncey Billups in a club after he tore his ACL. I saw him in Utah in the off season, and I
Yo,
remember looking. I was like, maybe he's gonna sign with the Jazz. I think he was still rehabbing, but
I
he's
can
from
see,
Colorado, so I think he likes that
yo,
mountain life.
I can see Chauncey being like, "Yo, don't make me have to do it to these meatballs."
Yeah,
You
but he
know,
was wearing cargo pants and a polo shirt and a folded Yankee hat. So like he does seem like a dude that doesn't really get with
yo,
the times. And
Russell
that
Westbrook, Russell Westbrook looked good last night. You know, he
because Russ
came
is
out.
a great basketball player.
You know,
I
he
love
came out
Russ.
firing. He was hitting threes. You know, he was doing his thing. You know, as the Suns hit a 363 to 59, 7:40 left in the third quarter. You know, Grayson Allen. You know, keep your feet to yourself, Grayson. You know, but yeah.
Yo,
So you know,
Bradley Beal need a haircut.
so I caught a few games last night. You know, I wasn't. I can't say that I was intently watching, but you know, but I had some stuff on the background that I was watching going on because you know I was watching all this and I was sitting around trying to do my notes for tonight so we could look at the picks and everything. But as I was watching these games, there were just things like Cade Cunningham stood out to me. He ended up with 30 points and 9 rebounds. You know, he looks like what they said he was, but I just don't know. Like Detroit, just like you said the other night, like they just have so much going on. You know, like I think they have talent but they almost have too much talent, you know, where like, what do you do
I
with this
I
person? Can
think
they
what
play
they
together?
have, I think their talent pool generates I think the talent pool generates group expectations without understanding if the talent of the group can work together to meet the expectations. Like people
Right.
just say, "Oh, you got a 6'8" this guy, you got a 6'9" this guy, you got a point guard with the 6'5" wingspan. You should be able to do this." But then you look at it like, okay, well, all these guys are 6'4".
Right. And I
Where
was
do I
waiting
put
for,
them? Where do I put them on the floor at the same time?
you
You
know,
know,
they played Miami last night and I was looking for the other Nicola, you know, but he didn't even play,
he's
you
not going
know.
to play just because he got the same kind of name. I know he like Eric Spoelstra did it in the oh, that's a goaltend LeBron. He did it in the finals in one of the games. He put him in, excuse me, it dropped something. He put him in the game. I don't know if they were getting blown out or if it was definitely a loss, but I remember Spo put him in like, well, might as well put the guy in who has essentially the same name as the other star that's killing us. So he did that. I just we could talk about like the NBA team and that whole, you know, we'll talk a little baseball here at, you know, some point, and then we'll talk about football picks and NCAA and how you can go worse for first. The NBA doesn't have that because I think the whole philosophy of the NBA right now, as far as team building, is get guy over trade to get other guy. Hope this guy will come join these two guys, and then we can get some other guys and make it work.
Well, speaking of which, speaking of guys, let's talk about a guy. Why Philly playing with us? Just trade this man. Like they're
What
not letting them onto
the
the
beard?
plane. Yeah, they're not letting them onto the plane. Now they're getting investigated by the NBA because the NBA wants to know why he hasn't been at practice, why he's not playing
Who
tonight.
pays Adam Silver?
You know, huh?
How does Adam Silver get his check?
He gets paid through the commissioners, right? I mean, through the owners.
Okay, so the owners pay the players. The owners negotiate the they have a person that they send to negotiate the deals and ratify the deals so that they get paid. They pay the commissioner. So in
Right.
turn, the NBA pays the referees. You think they give a damn if you're investigating me? You think Mark Cuban cares if they're investigating him, yelling at the ref? He like, cool. I'll
What you
get
gonna
his
do? Take a
200.
draft pick?
I'll get his $250,000 to the league, and then I'll give 250,000 to charity. And then this off season, I'm gonna negotiate this deal so that I get another $1 billion in net worth for my team. Like I don't care. Like the NBA has zero leverage, and I think what the owners kind of did, they went to that meeting with all the world leaders where they have the owl and they wear the little suits and all that other stuff, the Bilderberg meetings and all that in the woods. And they said, yo, why are we giving these dudes that we pay all the leverage? They're like, let's just stop. If I have you under contract, my lawyers wrote and ratified the contract. I don't have to jump through hoops for you, Kevin Durant. Go in there, listen to Steve Nash, because if I want to, I can get rid of you, him, pay you off, and I still have this team that's worth $6 billion on top of the other couple of $1 billion I already had in the bank before I purchased this team. So go down there, tie up your little KD 15s, get your little ankles taped, and go play basketball. Like, get out of here. James Harden, yeah, you signed your little 36 and a half, not a little, but you signed your $36.5 million extension. Cool, we appreciate that. And you try to use that as leverage. It's not leverage. I have you under contract. Nobody else wants you. No one else is going to give you 35 million. No one's going to give you. I don't think at this point, I don't think anybody give him 13.5 million.
Your leverage was when you weren't under contract.
Your leverage is when you're really, really good. That's the thing.
Well, yeah, there's that too. I mean, he did score 45 in the playoff game recently, you know.
Sweet. And Kristaps Porzingis scored 30 plus points last night. Now, give me out of 82 games, how many times do you think Kristaps is going to score over 30 points this season? Over under 7?
Maybe
7.5.
I'll go over. I'd say about 9.
Okay, so we'll book it now. CP, you got. I'll give you 7.5. You taking the over.
Yeah.
We'll put 30 push-ups on it since it's a 30-point margin.
All right.
So I think that's the thing. It sucks that the business, the way it's coming out, but he doesn't control the narrative because he doesn't have the leverage. And then he went when he came on and said Daryl Morey's a liar and I'll never work for him again. That diminished his value to be traded, and it also made him look like a sour teammate. Mm-hmm. So as another owner, I'm like, I'm not dealing with your diminishing capabilities and your overwhelming just to get 17.5 points out of you.
Your mouth. Yeah.
When I can get that from some undrafted free agent out of Akron. You know, like I'll get 13 points out of him and get another 6 or 7 out of another guy, and I have to deal with is James going to be here if we have a road trip to Houston? Is he going to make it to the game on time? Is he going to be in shape? So, yeah, he just lost his leverage. He should have, like, these guys have to, you have to learn from the history or you're going to repeat it. These guys are repeating history. Kyrie was probably a prime example of like, all right, cool. I'll sign. I'll play nice. I'll play my 35 to 40 games. Get me out of here. Everyone said I'm a nice guy. It's evident you guys are not operating properly. You obviously he had some leverage by saying Kevin Durant wanted out. So that's a problem. You fired the coach. You brought another coach. So his argument is that there's like discombobulation in the organization. I want out. And I've been a good teammate. So I've been a good teammate. I don't like it here. I don't like the direction. You don't like the direction because you made these moves. So get me out of here.
Yep. So, we'll see, but I was trying to figure out, like, is there another team potentially that would be interested besides the Clippers? And I just can't find it.
I can't find it for 35 million.
Yeah, I just can't find it. Like, even for not 35 million, I just can't find it. Because, I mean, like I said this earlier this year, on Sports Reports is Ordered, I said something along the lines of James Harden is what everybody tries to paint Kyrie as. You know what I mean? So I think people are just tired of him altogether, especially when, like you said, he's not producing the way that he used to. So, like, it's one thing to be
simple props. The juice isn't worth the squeeze.
Right.
And that's something you as a an individual, you have to lock in. Like, am I like introspective? Look in the mirror. Like, did I have to go to China and say that my general manager was a liar, or could I have gone to him in his office, and be like, "Yo, I can't
Or
rock with you. Get me
Well,
out of
the
here."
well, the other part of that is did Daryl Morey actually lie, or was there
That's
just not?
irrelevant, though.
I mean, but but did he lie? There was no market, for at that price point. So,
Maybe Daryl at some point told him that we're gonna extend you, or we're gonna look to extend you. I don't know how he communicates. I don't know what the relationship with him and James. But when James went out publicly, it's very similar to every other major crazy trade we've seen in the league. When Carmelo said I want to go to New York, when AD said I want to go to LA, they basically handcuffed his team for a very short period of time, and obviously things
mhm,
work out. But these other teams that just saw like this doesn't work out. If you can get a free agent, i.e., Kevin Durant going to Golden State, LeBron, Chris Bosh going down to Miami, join Dwayne Wade re-signing because you can put it all together, or you can make a trade and get a player in Pau Gasol in the LA. There's been moves that have been made, but those moves are like realistically champion those moves that seem drastic or not orthodox are years apart.
mhm.
The Boston 3 party, that was '07. The Paul Gasol going to the Lakers was around that same time
Yeah, it was like
because
'08.
they
Yeah, it was like the year
'08.
after. Yeah.
So that's because they played in the finals. So like that
Mhm.
that trade happened around the same time. So those trades happened essentially in the same time frame. Then you had LeBron and D Wade and Chris Bosh teaming up in Miami a few years later. Then a few years after that, LeBron goes back to Miami. KD after that goes to because even the OKC James Harden and Houston move was good, but it didn't have championship implications. KD goes to Golden State. That had crazy impact. Obviously, they went 3 NBA finals in a row, and they got beat by Kawhi and the Raptors because that trade happened. But for the most part, a lot of these moves don't work.
Mhm.
That's five. That's five of those major moves in the last 15 years that led directly to championships. A lot of it just a lot of money changing hands. Okay, and then AD going and then getting the championship in 2020. So
Right.
6 moves in 15 years of that
That actually
magnitude
paid off.
that actually paid off. The Brooklyn moves didn't pay off. Ben Simmons going to Brooklyn didn't pay off. James Harden going to Philly didn't pay off.
Yeah, it didn't. Remember, Brooklyn tried to get Pierce and KG. That didn't work either.
That didn't work. So it's just a lot of it is I think it's overcomplicated because they were allowing the players to use their ego. Now I think the owners are like, listen, we pay everybody. This is here for me because of me. This is called crypto arena because of me. I'm not
Or
jumping
what are
through
they
hoops.
now? The governors. Like
The governors,
the governors. Yeah.
yeah. So
So yeah, we up here, 73-66 Suns with 3:25 left in the third quarter. So it's that time, we got to do it. Who is on upset alert? Like, hey, remember last week I gave you Minnesota. I told you watch out Clemson. Like I was in there, I was telling y'all this thing and y'all ain't want to listen to me, but it is what it is. So here we are this week. I only got one actual upset that I'm picking, and I'm taking Kentucky over Tennessee. You know, Even though Tennessee has won 8 out of the last 10 against Kentucky, but I'm going with Kentucky at home down in the Commonwealth, but upset alert, upset alert. All right. So y'all know when I do upset alert, I look at all angles. So this ain't just top 10 teams I'm talking about. I'm talking about everybody. So
correct.
so Maryland, you were on upset alert at Northwestern. You're coming off the bye. I like that. But the last time I saw you, you lost to Illinois. I ain't trying to hear it. Virginia, Virginia, fresh off their win against North Carolina, goes down to Coral Gables to play Miami. And, Miami and Virginia, the last 4 games, it's a 2-2 split. Keep your eye out on Virginia. I know Tyler Van Dyke is coming back from Miami, so they should win, but you just never know. At the expense of my shit falling apart, because I had Oregon State as my surprise, one of my surprise teams, and they were going to make the Pac-12 championship game in my prognostication. But now they got to go out to Tucson and play against Noah Fatita and the Wildcats, who we saw take USC to the wire in overtime. We saw them give Washington everything that they want. Sometimes these teams play these teams close like this and they get one of them. And so the good news is Jaden DeLora isn't back, if you're an Arizona fan, because I would pick Oregon State to crush Arizona if he was still the quarterback, because he would just give the ball away. Ohio State on the road at Wisconsin. Do I truly think Wisconsin can win this game? At the beginning of the season, I did. Right now, not that I necessarily believe that they'll win, but you got to look at the schedule. They're coming off of that Penn State game, the high emotions, and they couldn't score. They couldn't move the ball against Penn State. And I think they might not move the ball against Wisconsin either.
Yeah, but they have the number 1 overall pick on their team, and they're going to throw the ball to him a lot.
Yeah, they are going to throw the ball to him, but Wisconsin's got a corner for that. The problem is that Ibuka's going to go off if he plays, and Julian Fleming will go off. You know what I mean? That's the problem. Oklahoma taking their show down to Lawrence to play the Jayhawks. We saw Oklahoma struggle. Dumb 2-point conversion play by UCF last week that helped Oklahoma get out of there.
Man, just keep it simple. On those 2-point conversion plays, you got to get 6 to 9 feet, because if they put it a 2 or 3 yard line.
Yeah, stop with all these tosses and reverses and flipping it out to the sideline.
Give me one fake on a jet sweep and then get back to a conventional play call. So if you're going to put a guy in motion, give me the fake as your play action. But after that, I need that dude that I faked it to hit the flat, this guy to come across, this tight end to run out, this guy to run a slant behind that. I need everything else, because the whole thing doesn't have to be tricky. That's the thing with like a lot of these plays. All I need is a linebackers or someone to bite on the initial thing that I'm trying to get your eye on. I don't need you looking here, getting spun around. I don't need that much time. All I need you to do is this.
Mm-hmm.
So I can stick a guy behind you this way. So by the time you turn back around, you watching the ball pass you. That's it. That's because it's only so much. There's only so much you can do defensively, unless you know exactly. You still in the signs or something, and you know exactly what that fake means, and you do this, like how Ed Reed did to Peyton Manning. Like he knew Peyton Manning expected me to get to this spot, straight to it. So I'm gonna turn over my left shoulder and just spin around and sprint to that spot. Like I seen this play 50 times on film, but most college players don't see that. So it's like, yeah, give them a little fake, make them look this way, run the slant behind them. Easy play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the upset alerts. I like.
I got one more because of course, after our conversation the other night, I just wouldn't be 2-5 if I didn't put Georgia on upset alert. The cocktail party against the Gators. No, the only reason they play in Jacksonville every year. The only reason that I have this as an upset alert. This is not one of those moments. Like last week, remember, I went off on Dabo and I put them on upset alert against Miami. And I said, it's not because of what I just said about Dabo. You know what I mean? It's just the state of Clemson. Obviously Miami won. What I'm saying about Georgia here is this is the first game without Brock Bowers. And I just need to see what they look like. That's all it is. I'm not saying that Florida's going to win. I'm not saying that Georgia should really be scared. I just don't know, because when they don't have it, when it's not working, Brock Bowers is their go-to. So if it's not working,
a team like Georgia should have their power run game should be their go-to.
It should be.
They litter their offensive line with 4 and 5 star guys from down south. or the best 5-star guy from Michigan that wants to go to Georgia that plays offensive
But,
line.
but
They
don't forget
always have that player, but it just for some reason
don't
people fall
forget
in love with the pass.
don't forget who Florida got at running back. They got
Little
little
ATN.
ETN. Yeah, so and Graham Mertz has been playing well lately. Now, of course, LSU and Bama are off this week because they got the big game down in Tuscaloosa next week. But one upset alert that I didn't pick that people might be picking is I'm not picking BYU over Texas. I know Quinn Ewers is out, but I just feel like there's going to be a whole lot of Kennedy Brooks running down BYU's throat. Will we
But
see
yo,
Arch
come
Manning?
on.
That's the
But
question.
listen, that is one of the things that we talk about this a lot. I know I have an affinity for the state of Utah as one of my favorite places to go to. But the defensive front and the front seven for these two top Utah state schools, being BYU and Utah, they are littered with grown men.
They are
BYU more likely
for real.
has,
For real.
without doing the research right now, if BYU, if they run 11 guys out there in that front seven between their backup linebackers and defensive line, I'm going to give them about 4 to 6 21, 22-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Because they, if you're not familiar with the Mormon religion, at like age 19, they do a 2-year mission. So you factor in that many guys, 2 years. Then we talked about the Pacific Islander, that size speed combination. And Utah is a very blue collar state. They're very Midwestern, big white boys. So they got big white boys on the front line who are adults, 20, 21 years old. And then you have big Pacific Islanders, 20, 21 years old. So that's why it's not always an upset. They don't always have the skill positions. It's hard to recruit non-Mormon kids to the school because their code of conduct is very strict, and it's
Yeah,
hard to get
we
people
remember
who are
Brandon Davis.
non.
We remember
It's
Brandon Davis getting suspended for March Madness because he had sex.
They were the number 3 team in the country. They had Jimmy Fredette. They were going to make a run in the national championship, but to them, their code of conduct mattered more, which I can respect. But because of that, it's hard to recruit. You can get some junior college kids who want to get the D1 time. Tyler Algier plays for the Falcons. He went to BYU, played running back and linebacker. Fred Warner. So a lot Polynesian, so there's a lot of Mormon influence in Pacific Islander to BYU. So them matching without Quinn, I think BYU matches up very well with Texas because they can end a drive on second down because of their front. They first and 10, you get 2 yards, and then you get a sack on second down. That was 3rd and 15. You essentially end the drive with that because you don't want to go back the next play when your guard just got beat by, some guy named Ungalele or Weiwei or something like that. Like one of these guys that come through with the hair, they just bust through the line. So it's very tough. So I think Texas should be on upset alert, especially with the backup quarterback, coupled with the fact that they're gonna start. What's the black quarterback's name?
Malik Murphy.
Murphy, the quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay.
For Texas. Yeah.
For Texas.
And then we might see Arch Manning.
And then you might see Arch Manning.
Yeah, we
so
haven't
now
ruled it out yet.
You got a guy that gets sacked. It's 8 minutes left in the second quarter, and the score is 10-3, 7-3, or 7-7, and Texas is not moving the ball. And you got Arch Manning on the sideline. Does he force a throw? Does he hold on to the ball too long, get a strip sack?
Is he auditioning for his next school?
Is he right? Because you're not going to be Arch Manning out if Quinn Ewers isn't there next year. Texas is not going to have a Manning on the bench 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Sarkisian's not having a pro-style quarterback with 2 pro-style uncles and a pro-style grandfather sitting on the bench 2 years in a row to develop a guy that will probably end up transferring. I could see him in Colorado.
All right. Well, speaking of Colorado, hey, YouTube guy, looks like Dante Moore is not starting this week. So holla at me. Say it looks like Neighbors is going to get the start. So we'll see what happens. But UCLA is favored by 17 over Colorado. But I know what Mr. Logical wants to talk about. He wants to talk about Sione Vaki. He wants to talk about the Utes with their 18
I want to talk about why
home
he's not in the
streak.
Heisman conversation. I
want
want to talk about that. He getting in the Heisman conversation
because he got a
this
late
weekend.
start. Because he got a late start. That's why.
Don't worry. When he gets 200 all-purpose yards, you gonna get 130 all-purpose yards this week.
He wants
10
to talk
tackles
about,
and a forced fumble and
he
interception.
wants to talk about that 18-game home winning streak, 29 out of 30. Pop quiz. Yeah. Pop quiz. Tough. Pop quiz. Utah lost their last home game in 2020. Who did they lose to?
Probably Oregon.
It was USC, but I got Oregon snapping the streak this week. Utah.
Something about that is something about the way the stadium just intimidates other teams. I've been there for a few games. It's so much red. It's only 45,000 people. Like we talk about the mighty Utah Student Union or student section.
Yeah.
And they do the third down jump. The fans are relentless. Utah, full of wholesome people. I love it. I just went there a few weeks ago. I went there in February. I'm probably going to go back in December. One of my favorite places to go year round. Like I love going there. I love my people there. But that 45,000, the stadium is like a horseshoe. So it's like completely, it's like it's packed in. It's packed in on the side of the mountain. Great view, but it's just like this sea of red.
Right.
It's just red, and then like everyone just covered in red. It's at the like I said, on the side of the mountain. The elevation does catch you off guard. If you're an elite, like I'm never an elite athlete. So the elevation, you do feel it a little bit when you're working out there. When I first got there, I was playing basketball. So I don't know how much that impacts like an elite athlete, like a 19 or 22-year-old college player, but they are at a disadvantage to the elite athletes on the other side. And Utah, like I said, they recruit JUCO well, they recruit California well, they recruit Miami well, they recruit Texas well. On top of the talent, people grow up wanting to play for Utah, BYU. You just got to keep that talent in state. If you can keep that talent in state, you're going to be good. That's why you have guys like Vaki. That's why you have guys that just have. It's just like they're relentless. Ask Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams has been running for his life the last 3 games he's played against Utah, and people want to hold it against him like, oh, you can't take him to one overall. He can't win a big game. Some teams just have your number. And I think Utah is one of those teams. And I think Bo Nix is going to be in that same bit of a scramble because to take pressure off the quarterback, you want to run the ball downhill. Utah stops the run. And then when they get the ball back, they run it.
I think that's the problem. I think Utah has a great defense. That goes without saying. But I think Utah might be susceptible up the gut. I think that's the problem, is that these teams try to hit the perimeter on Utah and they can't. But Utah's given up some plays up the middle. So I think Oregon will take advantage of that. And I think that Bo Nix has seen it. He's been in the SEC. So, he's gone to Tuscaloosa. He's gone to LSU. He went to Washington a few weeks ago. So
but he didn't leave a lot of those places successfully.
No, he didn't.
On a regular basis.
But at the same time, you wax on, wax off. You know what I'm saying? So
Bo Nix might be like one of those guys that just has – he's just going to have – his college time is going to – like, I don't know. I'm not sure Bo Nix is going to be the reason that Oregon will beat Utah. I don't know if he can do it on his own because I think they can match.
Well,
what he does, I think Utah's defense can match. It's
So
gonna. I
this is
think it's gonna be a knockout, drag out game. I don't. I
well,
don't think. I think it's
well,
gonna be
this is
one of
my
those
problem. This is my problem.
31-28 games, 31-27. But I got
This,
Utah winning.
this is my problem. Utah's offense has come on the last few weeks, but they've also played Cal and USC's defense. So I don't know how much of that is real and how much of that is a facade. So like I think it's more like a 24-17 type game. I think that Utah is going to struggle to score. And the only thing that's going to keep them in the game is the fact that it's in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's huge considering the way that they play. They play where you expend a lot of energy on the offensive drives. They don't
Right.
do a lot of. It's not a lot of deep threats where, like USC. What's the freshman's name? Uh, was this? I forgot. It was like Zacharias. The kid, the
Oh yeah, yeah,
freshman
yeah,
number.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
He is a touchdown waiting to happen if you just get it to him in space. If you get him man to man and he just runs his route, you get a boom. You get a 65, 70-yard touchdown. Utah doesn't even look for those kind of plays. So what they're gonna do is run the ball with the backup quarterback. They're gonna run it with the safety. They're gonna run it with the starting running backs, and they're gonna run it 8 times on a drive.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna have to swap out defensive linemen because they're gonna have to get a breather. That's where Utah. They just have to. Um, last week when the quarterback when he made his move, he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna take this myself. Granted, it was on a
Right.
USC defense, but that confidence to be able to like do that on the road in LA when we've had, Utah's had an up and down offensive season. A lot of it is big run plays where they ran for like 300 yards against Cal. But to run the ball that much for 300 yards, I don't think that's not a defense lacking because you got enough people there to stop the run. That is a will thing. That is like we are going to impose our will on you. A lot of the ways that Alabama would do it. With we've seen some of these crazy stats. Guys played 1,200 snaps, haven't given up a sack. Those kind of like 3 or 4 guys like that across your line. I'm gonna just run Najee Harris and Damian Pierce and Eddie Lacy and Mark Ingram and Derrick Henry down your throat behind these guys who don't give up sacks. It just
Mm-hmm.
overwhelmed you to the point where AJ McCarron, I don't know, his NFL career was pedestrian, but at Alabama, look at Mac Jones. Mac Jones is struggling, granted, because he's in a system where he's with the team that doesn't have a lot of skill position players, but he looked like if it wasn't for Devontae Smith being on his team, catching all the touchdowns and winning the Heisman, Mac Jones would have been the Heisman.
Mm-hmm.
But NCAA seems to recognize the power and the athleticism and the importance of the wide receiver because wide receivers win Heisman, but yet no NFL wide receivers ever won MVP. It doesn't make any sense.
Even with these last 2 weeks against Cal and USC, Utah is still 101st in the nation in yards per play. So it's going to be a slow drag. We'll see what happens. Ohio State 9 straight wins over Wisconsin, and even worse
Make
than
it
that,
10.
even worse than that, 15 straight wins over the Big Ten West. Like,
Ohio State and Michigan, it is unfair the advantage that they have in the Big Ten.
well, especially if they out here taping people.
And even like to make it even worse, like, I mean, like let's keep it realistic. If there's 35-star recruits, 34 and 5-star recruits in the Big Ten, if that's the number, between Michigan and Ohio State, they probably have 19 to 22 of them.
Mhm.
And then the rest of them are spread out amongst the rest of the teams. And a lot of them probably just go to these schools out of, just state loyalty. Like, I'm a 5-star tight end. I'm going to Purdue. I'm from Indiana. My dad went to Purdue. I'm going to Purdue. Like, you can't
Mhm.
sway me. But the rest of these 5-stars that come to, they want to go to the best program. So that's always an advantage. And that's a huge advantage, especially in college football.
And then, of
We haven't
course,
seen many upsets this year. It just seems like things are kind of starting to, like the cream starting to rise to the top.
well, yeah, I mean, that's normally how it goes. We get our hopes up. These teams, like Florida State will have a game like they had against BC, and then people will say they're overrated, but then they don't lose. Or
Yeah.
people will say, like me, people will say Georgia out here struggling with Auburn, but then as the season goes on, Carson Beck gets a little more reps or whatever, and they just win.
They
You know,
find their favorite plays that work. Like,
right?
hey, listen, Bowers is opening on this route,
Yeah.
or this run play works. This is a 7 to 8 yard run
I
play
still
every
think
time.
somebody gets Georgia. I just don't think it's this week. They got this stretch after this week where they get Missouri, Ole Miss, and Tennessee back to back to back. So, but the first two of those, Missouri and Ole Miss, are at home. They go to Knoxville. So, I guess Tennessee would be the most likely to knock off Georgia, but I think they lose one of those three games. But anyway, so yeah, as I was looking at this, we got Notre Dame and Pitt this week. Duke with the best defense in the ACC. I don't know if Riley Leonard's going to play or not, but even if he does,
He stays injured.
I know they're playing Louisville this week.
Stop calling quarterback runs. Let this guy save
He
himself
can't
and get.
throw. He can't remember Stephen A. Tim Tebow, he is not a good thrower of the football. Like that's Riley Leonard.
Yeah,
He's got a strong arm, but
yeah. Tebow was like 48%. I remember those years.
yeah,
Entertaining, but it was 48.8%.
yeah. And then so of course Tennessee, I picked UK over Tennessee. Tennessee's gonna have to run the ball. Kentucky, Georgia is the only team that Kentucky's played this year that averaged 4 yards per carry. And then on top of that, Georgia and Missouri are the only teams that got to 100 yards against Kentucky. So that's going to be the key. Can Tennessee establish the run? Kansas, I picked them as an upset alert over Oklahoma. Problem is, they give up 252 rushing yards per game. The good news is Oklahoma can't run. So,
Well, they can run if you're giving up 252. They'll get
we
175 out of that.
we gonna have to see. And then, of course, like I said, Virginia and Miami, Virginia won the last time they played down in Miami. And then
Hold on, my
last
bad.
year,
Hold on. I hate to cut you off. I just watched the worst fast break initiated by D'Angelo Russell. He not making it to the trade deadline. It was a 4-on-2. He had the ball. 3 guys ran to the paint. He dribbled all the way up to the dotted line, stepped out, and shot off the dribble 3 with AD run the paint. Vincent was running to the basket. He could have thrown a bounce pass from the half court. He dripped. Yeah, he not making it to the. Anybody want D'Angelo Russell because he's going to be traded. That play in itself is going to get him traded. It was so bad. Like it was so bad. If I could rewind his iPad, I would. It was so bad. Literally, it was. He could have bounced the ball to Vincent, and they were ahead of it, and then he didn't. He dribbled out and then shot the 3. Is he gonna do something stupid again? No, LeBron's like, give me the ball. He has Grayson Allen on him, and he backed Grayson Allen down, and then LeBron shot some crazy shooter, and then he got a foul on Grayson Allen.
Yep. So I got a 3-point game with 7:33 left. But like I was saying, Virginia beat Miami the last time they played in Miami. And last year they went to overtime in a 14-12 thriller that Miami escaped with.
You should pay $14 for that ticket.
I know, right? Yeah, so we got that going on. Notre Dame and Pitt. That's usually a good rivalry. I don't know how good Pitt is this year, but they will give Notre Dame a fight. So I think this week is going to be pretty tamed. I think it's going to be a pretty tame week. I think
mundane week leading up to the college football playoff ranking coming out, but the conversation about who's going to be number 1 pick, that's always another thing that's going to be huge. The college impact on the NFL and what teams should do. So that'll be a conversation because I think the games in and of itself are going to be very regular.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? But when we say that, that's usually when it happens. That's usually when the meatballs get it done to them.
I think the only thing that really stands out, I mean, does Wisconsin really beat Ohio State as a game competitive? Does Utah demolish Oregon? Because I think Utah beating Oregon wouldn't be crazy because they're at home, they have the advantage. But if they jump out to 21-3 at halftime, kind of Oregon can't move the ball, Bo Nix is turning the ball over kind of situation.
Yeah,
AD be falling like stock prices out here.
I know. He out here, yeah. Still a 3-point game. But yeah, then we got, the NFL, we got some games, we got Buffalo and Tampa in the books. Buffalo with the 24-18 win.
They
Playing
had a
down.
they were favored by 9.5. Yeah, so I think Baker made some people happy in Vegas when they covered. 9.5 point favorites in the NFL is a weird betting line. It feels as if they're trying to get the betting line that way to generate people watching the game. Because I didn't think Buffalo's performances over the last few weeks warranted them being nearly a 10-point favorite over Tampa Bay. Even though I'm
Right.
not a big Tampa Bay fan and they only scored 13 points against the Falcons last week,
They scored 10, didn't they? I thought the Falcons scored 13.
it was 16-13.
Okay, I thought it was 13-10. Okay.
Yeah. So, but Buffalo went 14-9 against the Giants, and it had a pass interference call that got called and a holding call that didn't. And I imagine if that holding call got called, they would have got the ball maybe between the goal line and the one, and you got an opportunity. So Buffalo has been playing so poorly, so a 9.5 points favorite. It just kind of blew my mind that was an option. But Josh Allen, he threw a touchdown to Gabe. No, he threw a touchdown to Dalton Kincaid, rookie out of Utah. Go Utes. Got the ball back for him. And I think Kirk Herbstreit, it's not him. Is it Kirk on Thursdays?
Mm-hmm.
Kirk on Thursday. He mentioned that Josh Allen's only giving low high fives with his left hand. Like he wasn't lifting his right arm up. And then they got the ball back because Todd Bowles, for some reason, didn't want to kick the 58-yard field goal, even though his kicker made a 57-yarder in the game, had a 50-yarder blocked. But he could have kicked a 58-yarder with about 19 seconds left. Yes, they would have. If they would have missed it, then Buffalo would have gotten the ball at about the 48. Yeah, you're risking potentially that they could go down and try to get a field goal, but you also have to play the point like my kicker can make a 58-yard field goal because he just made 57.
Mm-hmm.
So these coaches, I talked about this. I understand coaches. You coach with caution, or you can coach with fear. But if your fear is making you make decisions that's like I'm a gambler. I like to gamble. So if I show up to the craps table, that's my game. That's my game of choice. I show up with $100. If I win and I'm up to 325, like over my hundreds, I could put my 100 away and I'm up 325. I shouldn't be gambling the same way I was when I only had $100 on the table. I should be willing to bet 50 where I was betting 15 earlier because I'm already up. And I know I might get to the point where I'm back down 100, whatever case may be, but I can't be like, I'm like, yo, you're already up. You're up. So like take advantage of this time where you're up. They called a great play on third down. It was something like 3rd and 15, 3rd, maybe 17, because Baker kept taking sacks. So they called a great play to the tight end, like a little slip pass to the tight end. He faked like he was going to block. Tight end, he got you about 12 yards, got you to 4th and 3. They were trying to run the clock. I'm like, okay, so run the offense up run the clock down, make them think you're gonna go for it. What they did, they brought the punter out. Buffalo called a timeout, and then they brought the field goal unit out, and the long snapper didn't put his hands on the ball. How you gonna draw Buffalo offsides? Literally, the long snapper's hands were up by his shoulder pads, not touching the ball. I'm like, why would they jump? He
Right.
never touched the ball. And then they punted it. I was like, you're better off just kicking the field goal. You're 3-3. You have a mediocre quarterback. You're probably going to get fired anyway. You might as well go out there and enjoy your
Guns
time.
blazing. Yeah.
Listen, dying, come listen, like in 300, where she said, come back with your shield or on it. He out there hiding behind cover, and the mortar just land where he hiding at. That's what Todd Bowles is doing right now, because you're probably going to lose games anyway, because you don't have the cachet on your team. You don't have the veteran leadership on your team. You don't have the thing that's going to guarantee you win games. You might as well try to coach yourself into wins. Mike Tomlin's kicking that field goal. Sean McVay's kicking that field goal. Stefanski's kicking that field goal. Andy Reid's kicking that field goal. Or a guy like Brandon Staley is like, you know what? I'm going to go for it on this 4th and 3, because if I don't get it, now you're getting the ball with 18, 16 seconds left in the half at your own 41. So I was like, okay, you can make your move, or I can go for this, maybe make the field goal shorter, or like at least run out. But like these guys are making the moves to where it's like at least you're going to have something to talk about in the post-game presser. What are you going to talk to Todd Bowles about? Your team's mediocre. How you feel about that? Well, I coach like a mediocre coach, so this is what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I told you, he looked like when the camera panned to him, he just had that look on his face, like I could be so many places right now other than here.
He
Like
had the
other
look on
than
his
being,
face like he had no idea that was happening.
you know, say
Like he
other,
didn't know what the play call was.
I should be anywhere but Orchard Park, New York. You know, what I'm saying? but I mean, hey, you got to give Tampa credit though. You know, I mean, they started out 2-0. They've gone, 1-4 since then, but they've been competitive. They've been playing hard. They haven't given up. So, I guess you got to at least give them the credit for that. But we got the match of the number 1 and number 2 draft pick this weekend. We got Carolina against Houston. I wanted to pick Carolina to win, but then I thought about D'Amico Ryans against a rookie quarterback with no offensive line, a
No
rookie
weapons.
quarterback that's my height.
Legit.
So I just couldn't do it. So I ended up picking Houston in that game. I think it'll be a good game, though. I think it'll be a good game. But I just can't pick
This is the
Carolina.
part that I'm excited to see. The pregame handshake with CJ Stroud and Bryce Young to really show how much bigger CJ Stroud is than Bryce Young. Because I saw a picture of CJ. No, who was it? A picture of Kyler Murray shaking hands with Spencer Rattler.
Uh-huh.
And Spencer Rattler's listed at 6'1".
He
Kyler
looked like
Murray
6'4" next to him.
He looked like 6'4" next to him. And I think CJ Stroud's going to be in that same boat where Carolina fans are going to be looking like, why didn't we take CJ Stroud, or why didn't we just stay where we were?
Right. Carolina sitting up here like, why we ain't get Will Levis? You know what I mean? Like, speaking of which,
real talk, it did not make sense for Carolina to make the move that they made.
They
made the move that they made because their owner made millions or billions by being aggressive or whatever. Dog, you should just sat where you were and let Frank Wright build your team and then suck and get Caleb Williams. Because now you're not going to draft Caleb Williams if you go 0-17.
I have no idea who's going to start against the Falcons. Tannehill may play. If he doesn't play, there's been reports that we're going to get both Malik Willis and Will Levis, but Will Levis as the starter. Either way it goes, I guess Atlanta's going to win just because Tennessee, they only have a few days to install whatever they need to install for who's going to play.
I'm taking Atlanta like 20-13, 20-10. Malik Willis does not play. He doesn't make smart situational awareness football decisions. I've listened to Mike Vrabel say in his preseason game last year when he pulled him, he was like, "I want you to I want you to throw the ball like it's preseason. Like, think about where you are. This is the moment. It's preseason. I need you to throw the ball. If you throw an interception in preseason, it is what it is. They draft you the third round pick. Tannehill was going to be the starter anyway. Like, go out there, throw the ball, make the mistake, but he kept running, so he pulled him out of the game. So in the Baltimore game, it was like they always say, you can't take a sack here. Take a sack. You got to get out of bounds. Stayed in bounds and fought for another yard, and it ran off like 15 more seconds before you can get to the ball. Didn't clock it. Don't know when to call timeouts. It just he operates as if he is not aware of what his position is supposed to do. Will Levis might be a turnover machine, but I'll take the big turnover machine over the guy who just doesn't make situational like decisions.
Yeah, and when all else fails, just give the ball to Derrick Henry, right?
Well, until you give him away to
Baltimore or
Baltimore makes no good moves in season. They're just stubborn to a fault. The Rams, nah, because I think McVay's probably gonna call it quits. So like, why would you make a trade? Indy 90 has their guy. Buffalo. I've been saying Buffalo should got Derrick Henry since
they should have
last
got him at the
August.
draft.
August 2022, they should have gotten him. Then they should have gotten him at the draft this year. Like, I don't know why they are acting as if they are good anywhere else. So Derrick Henry, hopefully they don't run him because they want to trade him and they keep him healthy and they give the ball to the other guy.
Yeah,
I'm with
Tajay
that.
Spears. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
just give it to these other guys.
yeah, so we'll see. I'm interested in that. Then I went back and forth, but I got Dallas coming off the bye. I got them taking down the Rams. I think that I got some protection concerns, especially when you got the new running back in there. Is he going to be able to pick up the late blitzer to protect Stafford?
I think Stafford is smart enough quarterback to give him like real guidance. Like, stand in this B gap. This guy's going to come through here. We're going to slide protection this way. You got to
here's a
stand here
question.
with this guy.
Here's a question. Now, obviously, college players are way younger, and we say things like, "Hey, this team plays Miami next week, and they're looking forward to that game." So is it possible that Dallas could be looking forward to their road trip to Philly next week?
No,
Or does
because
it work like that in the NFL versus?
I don't think it works like that in NFL because you can go 11-6 and win your division. You can go 10-7 and win your division, or be a wild card. I think you there's the room for error is a little bit more broad in regards to NFL, and especially a division opponent, you've seen them so many times. You know the players. You probably scouted the players. It's not the same. Whereas Georgia's gonna play with the exception of a championship rematch. Michigan's gonna play Ohio State once. Michigan State's not gonna play Michigan again this year. So I think you just kind of take care of business because you're just better than the other team, especially in the NFL. You just take care of business. Win, lose, or draw. But if you do lose, you still have so many different ways to continue to be a successful team. You can like the Giants when they won their 2 Super Bowls, that Eli Manning's essentially gonna ride all the way to the Hall of Fame. They were 10-6 and they were wild card teams, and they won 4 road playoff games. So that's why I don't think teams look past other teams as much as they do in college basketball.
Yes, I got Dallas. I got Minnesota over Green Bay. It's been
Jordan Love has a 38% pass completion when he throw passes long, like further than 10 yards on the field. 38%.
And Green Bay also hasn't hit 20 points in any of their last 4 games.
Because their quarterback can't throw the ball past 10 yards for a percentage.
And in those
4 out of 10 passes.
And in those 4 games, they've scored 6 first half points. And if you remember, they got lucky against New Orleans because, Derek Carr got hurt. Jameis had to come in, missed the field goal, So, like, really, Like I think Green Bay they only won one game, right? They won they won the New Orleans game.
Maybe I
No,
got
they
two.
won two. I think they won the opener. I think they won the opener. No,
Are they in the Caleb? Are they in the Caleb Williams Drake May
but they could be.
sweepstakes?
They could be. I mean, I like to, we've had this conversation plenty of times. I like to give quarterbacks, like, if they don't hit it off game one, it doesn't mean they're a bum. But I'm just seeing nothing out of him. Like, I'm not even seeing anything.
That's the thing. That's
Yeah.
the thing.
Like, I'm not even like,
I
oh, well,
can't make
hey.
something out of nothing.
Right. Like with
I can look at Desmond Ritter and say, okay, you could be a really, really good game manager.
well,
And
he
I'm
had to
good
come
with
back
that.
against Green Bay.
It was
You
12
know.
points. It wasn't
No,
like
I know,
three touchdowns. It was
but I'm just
12
saying.
points.
I'm just saying. Like,
And they only scored 25 total points. Atlanta's record, they haven't scored over 30 points. And I think it's like 9 times over the last 3 seasons they scored over 30 points, over
but no,
28
but the
points.
point being is that, like, that's a
You can see the
positive.
throw. You can
Yeah,
see
like,
the
yeah,
back shoulder throw. You can see the poise to grind to come back. Maybe not the intangibles and the Lamar quality of winning, the Tua accuracy.
Oh yeah, they do got
You know,
2 wins. They beat Chicago in the opener. That's right.
yeah. So then you have a guy like Justin Herbert, like when he stepped in his first game with Tyrod Taylor, is basically damn near killed by the team doctor when he poked his lungs. I don't know how you messed it up as a doctor with no pressure, no
Right.
fans. Like there's no
Right.
fans in the stands, there's no noise, and you just poke a grown man in his lung. But he stepped right in. And even though Justin Herbert doesn't have like a great record, you can still see that under the right circumstances, I think this a pop. Matt LaFleur is a good coach, a good offensive coach. Aaron Rodgers won 2 MVPs, and he had a pedestrian year with Aaron Rodgers 1 year because they were trying to figure it out, and he went back-to-back MVPs. Granted, Devontae Adams was there. So for Jordan Love to literally not even get you anywhere near that, yeah, it could be time. If they are fourth, I think Drake May gets to you.
Potentially, because I mean,
At 4,
you got Caleb, you got Marvin,
man,
maybe Jarrett Verse, maybe a lineman, maybe somebody takes a lineman, but yeah, like I can
if
see that.
Carolina's at 3, they're sitting the proverbial catbird seat. Shout out to Skip Bayless for that phrase. So if we're thinking about it as we're making these picks, you're gonna give me I'm gonna give you Carolina at 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right now, because I don't think anyone's gonna be worse than them.
Yeah, maybe Arizona at 2,
Arizona at 2.
Bears at 3, maybe.
Someone's gonna be worse than the Bears.
Either the Raiders, because they just beat the Raiders.
The Raiders are gonna defensively, and Josh McDaniels, they're gonna squeeze 6 wins out of these 17 games and put themselves at like 8 for no reason.
Maybe Houston. Well, no, Houston might win like 5 games.
Houston's gonna win a few. Who's given up on the season already? I'm trying to think.
I don't think anybody yet, because I mean, even if you're Minnesota, you just beat San Francisco. You go in here, and if you beat Green Bay, you're only like a game and a half out of first. So
it's going to be a couple of teams. So Carolina, we're thinking is going to be 2-15 tops.
maybe Tampa. Maybe the they've won. They started
already
out
has 3 wins though. Like they would literally have to just be.
But outside of Carolina, like who can Tampa beat? Like who do you look at and go, yeah, Tampa will win that game? Like or Tampa.
But I think Tampa will try to I think Tampa will try to win games, and I think off of that effort alone, because you figure a bounce ball against Atlanta last week, maybe it's a 3-point victory. On that Atlanta's drive when they got the field goal, a bad snap, Tampa scoops the ball, they go back there in field goal position. So it's not like they were out of it. It wasn't like they lost 28-13.
Right.
So I think it's going to be a game like similar to this San Francisco Minnesota game that was on Monday night. If Brock Purdy just waits a little bit, Jennings is open on that crossing route that he threw the interception on.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 1st and 10 inside the 30. And they're moving along. So it's just a matter. Sometimes that one play here or there could matter. But if you are Carolina and you end up with like the number one pick, do you go Caleb Williams? Because you can't I don't think you can, because I don't know if you can move Bryce Young, because I don't know if people would.
No, you probably trade down if somebody gives you the ransom that you gave to the Bears.
And you trade no lower than 5 though.
Yeah.
I want someone from 5 up to jump up, but it's gonna be a tough year. But I think Green Bay is gonna be in that mix of like, do we move up for one of these top quarterbacks? Drake
And
May or
then
Caleb Williams.
I got the Saints over the Colts. The Colts put up 456 yards on the number one defense in Cleveland last week. But the Saints are fourth in yards given up per game, seventh in points per game. So I think New Orleans may have found something. They blew the game against Jacksonville last week with the drop pass in the end zone, but I think they found some
But
momentum.
even that would have only tied it though.
No, I know, but I feel like they found momentum. Like, given how they started in that game, they may have found something, and I just don't trust the Colts right now.
I mean, you can believe that, but did Derek Carr is he spending this week kind of apologizing for his antics as the leader of the team?
I don't know.
Because Nick Wright, first things first, I want to give him credit for this. What he said was kind of telling, but he does kind of like stretch his concepts and his constructs. But I kind of got what he meant here. He said that Moreau drop in the end zone was 98% Derek Carr's fault. No. You said 3% Derek Carr's fault, 2 or 3% Derek Carr's fault, because Moreau's so open. He's thinking, if I don't catch this, Derek Carr's gonna yell at me on national TV and embarrass me. And like, I get that that's not really the case, but I can get the whole playing tight because the person supposed to be leading you isn't is kind of like demonstrably over you. I'll give you a prime example. I saw this today, and I think it might turn your little situation around. Trey Turner for the Philadelphia Phillies was having a terrible year. They were booing him all the time. Terrible year, terrible year. And one of the big influencers of the Philly sports nation here goes to his Twitter. He has a lot of followers. And he was like, listen, y'all, let's stop booing him when he comes to the plate. Let's give him a standing ovation every single time he comes to the plate. So they gave him a standing ovation. He comes out. He hits a single. He plays better in the field. He hits a home run to the point where he purchased a billboard outside the stadium saying, thank you, Philly. Because sometimes you need a little support. I know it's not a thing that men talk about and people don't talk about, but sometimes you need a little support. You got somebody barking you all the time. Yes, you should do your job. You should be prepared to do your job. But when they were down 28-3 in the Super Bowl, every Patriot that's done an interview since then said Tom never let them think that they were going to win that game. Yes, it's all good in hindsight because they actually won. But even if you looked at the sideline when Julio made that catch and the game was 28-20 when Julio made that catch, they didn't look dejected when he made the catch. They were like, damn, that's a great catch. Like, no one put their head down like, damn, the game's over now for sure. They just made the faces like, okay, this could be a thing.
So I get it when you're talking about an individual player like Trey Turner up there by himself on the plate in front of the whole stadium. I understand that. But when we're talking about, in this situation with Derek Carr, like, it was just you in the end zone by yourself. Regardless of what was going to happen, you got to catch that ball.
Felt like imagine how you feel. Okay, I'm the number one pick. CJ Stroud was the number one pick of Houston. Do you think he feels like he's going to get cut in the preseason game if he throws an interception?
No.
I'm the undrafted safety. I give up a deep over route for a touchdown in the third preseason game. Does he go to the sideline feel like he's going to get cut?
Yes.
Okay, so as simply as each one of those are bad plays. plays that occur in every game all the time. But one guy has a level of security because no one's going to bark at him and threaten him for him to clean out his locker where the other guy is. So if you're the leader of the team and you're putting guys in a position where they don't feel like, damn, I can make a mistake, or damn, there's no room for growth here, you play a little tight. It's like NBA games when the team goes 22 for 46 from three because everyone's just firing up threes. Steph gets 2, Clay gets 2. Hell, Draymond goes 1 for 3. Jordan Poole will fire one off. Andrew Wiggins, and like everyone's just feeling it. But when the game is 87-87, 4 minutes going to fourth, is the fourth string guy, is the fourth option shooting that 3 if he's open? No, because
maybe on the Warriors because they dumb. You know what I'm saying? But on most teams, no.
Most
you know
teams,
what I mean?
no.
But
they got to get it back to the
but
star.
like I just feel like in that situation, if you don't catch that pass, you might deserve to be yelled at. You know what I'm saying? You were by yourself, like literally, like you know what I mean?
Literally
And
all alone.
So like yeah, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, don't come at me with football is the ultimate, you know, bravado and all that stuff if you're afraid that Derek Carr is going to yell at you. Now, if you were saying that, if you were to tell me I'm scared or he was scared that Peyton Manning was going to yell at him, I understand that. If you told me that it was Tom Brady,
but to him in that scenario, that dude's Peyton Manning.
No, because you've been playing like shit since day one of this season, so you ain't got no.
Talk about Derek Carr.
Yeah, like so like you threw this one good pass. You better get out my face and do it more consistently. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I'm saying. It's levels to it. I get what you're saying, but it's levels to it. You know what I mean? Like if Ben Roethlisberger came over and yelled at me, I'd be like, damn, I got to get my shit together. You know what I'm saying? If I don't know, if Jimmy Garoppolo came over there yelling at me, I would be like, man, you're probably gonna be in the hospital next week. Get out my face.
You about to strain your neck muscles yelling at me.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like right now, like you about to get you need your tonsils out just because you raised your voice at me.
You about to miss 2 weeks.
You know what I mean? But yeah, then for my upset of the week, you know, I'm going New England over Miami. You know, I think New England found something against Buffalo. Like we talk about confidence. You know, I think they have a certain confidence. And they played Miami well the first time.
Yeah, and 29 points that New England put up, that's because sometimes you can win a game ugly, 13-10, 13-9, and be like, oh.
Right.
But putting up 29 points and beating the division foe that's been beating you mercilessly since Tom Brady left. Yeah,
it looks like Jalen Ramsey might be back. You know, we'll see. You know,
I'm still taking Miami. I think off of because Mike McDaniel's play calling is commensurate with the speed of his offensive players.
Mm-hmm.
That eventually the plays that he calls, they're gonna pop.
All right, give me the Jetropolitans, you know, over the Giants.
I'll take that one too.
You know, the Giants, you know, they got off the mat last week. They put it on my Skins or my Commanders, if you will, and they still only scored 14 points.
Got your boy Allen ready to quit playing football.
Hey, I feel like Jonathan. I'm sick of this shit too. You know what I mean?
Yo, and, Ryan Clark said it best. He was like, "Listen, you see a man in a do-rag, chain, sunglasses, shirt unbuttoned with his chest out, he's gonna give you the real. He's not gonna give you a filtered answer. He chose violence in that interview.
Well, you know, I like the Jets coming off the bye. You know, it looks like Daniel Jones, as of before we recorded, you know, I looked it up, and it looks like he still may not be cleared to take contact. So maybe Tyrod Taylor again, more than likely. So, but I like the Jets. I just think that they see the season in front of them now. Buffalo's not what we thought they were. You know, Miami looked human last week. So I think the Jets have an opportunity here to get back into position here.
The rare double home game.
Yep. And then you got I got Pittsburgh over Jacksonville. I've seen a lot of people picking Jacksonville.
I'm not
You
picking it.
know,
I'm not gonna pick Mike against Mike Tomlin when I think it's a toss up. I'm gonna pick Mike Tomlin.
well, like everybody seems to think, and I agree that Pittsburgh's going to have trouble because Jacksonville's going to get a lot of pressure because that offensive line is not good. But I think Pittsburgh will do enough at home to win.
Are
Fal-
offensive lines really that bad, or is it a matter of like scheme? Because
well, I think it's a couple of different things because like with
injuries,
somebody like
maybe.
with somebody like Sam Howell, for example, you brought up like, well, yeah, you just need to get rid of the ball. You know what I mean? Like it's like, well, yeah, like the offensive line, even your best offensive line is only going to hold a block for so long,
You got two
right?
and a half seconds to make your mind up, and by the third second, the ball better
It's
be
too late.
gone
Yeah, it's too late.
unless you
So,
rolled out.
and but when you look at it, you look at people like, Russell Wilson, holding on to the ball, waiting for the big play to open up and you end up taking a sack. We say, oh, the line is terrible, but like,
And
yeah,
that goes against the line. It's like, oh, you held on to the ball for 5.5 seconds, and this guy that I thought the ball was gone because I've been at
yeah.
practice all
So
week.
obviously the line
So
was
now,
doing good if you
so
could
now
hold the
we
ball
get a
for that long.
ding. Yeah, so now we
Yeah.
get a ding for a sack, which knocks us down in the pro
Right.
football focus mathematical analytical scale or whatever.
Yeah. And then I'm a little sad because this may be Chase Young's last game as a commander.
As long as he goes to Atlanta next, I appreciate that. What y'all take us?
Last
Y'all want a second round pick? We got a couple of those.
last time, played Philly a couple of weeks ago. AJ Brown went 9 catches for 175. Ron Rivera had the chance to go for two, before
He should have
overtime,
gone for
and
two.
he should
You
have
go
gone
for
for it.
two always.
Win or lose, he should have went for it. And then in overtime, there may have been a little bit of buffoonery, on the Terry McLaurin catch on the sideline. So, I think Washington keeps it close. It's a division game. They're going to fight. Remember last year, Washington gave Philly their first loss on Monday Night Football. So these things happen. But Philly's going to win, but I think it's going to be close and something that even Jonathan Allen can
When
be proud of.
when trade deadline is next Thursday, correct?
Correct.
Washington decides. So right now I'm in Jersey. It is Friday morning.
Yep, 1 a.m.
They decide at 2:00 today. We're gonna trade Chase Young. We're gonna seek trades. They're not gonna play him.
Right.
That can be bad because I think he is one of those players that number 2 overall pick. He hasn't had a bad career.
No, he hasn't. He was
It
injured and
just
missed a year.
he was injured, missed a year, and then the team has just been in such turmoil
I do
that
think
I don't know if you can expect these guys to want to do more or be better when you put them in these situations where it's like
I do think that there's
I'm out
been
here
some
grinding.
I think there's been some plays that I've seen where he kind of lame ducks it. I don't know if that's because of the team. I don't know if that's frustration. I don't know, if it's like, hey, the play ain't over here. Like, I don't got to use this extra energy. You know what I
We
mean?
watch
But
football. They play football. We know what it looks like when it's bad.
yeah,
We
no,
know
he's
what
good.
is. We know
I
what
don't
it
want to
looks
lose
like
him. I don't want to
when
lose
the
him. But
quarterback. You know what it looks like when the quarterback looks overmatched or the coach looks. Ron Rivera has not looked like he's been in control of that team in the trenches, like in game, for a couple of years.
well, I don't want him to go, but the team doesn't want to pay him. So, like it's not up to me. But
You might as well go ahead, call down Atlanta, get you a little third or fourth round pick,
yeah, why not? We already beat them. No
maybe
biggie.
a second next year. Cool, I'll take that. But go ahead, give me an edge rusher. We're not
you
paying
know,
anybody, but we paying Bates, and that's it. Bates, Calais Campbell has a minimal deal. I think Patterson has a better deal.
Ritter,
I don't think
London,
there's
and Pitts all on their rookie contracts.
all their rookie contracts. Pitts is going to get traded before they pay him because they're not going to use him enough to where he can demand the money based off how he looks, essentially. Because any kind of contract negotiation he would have would be based off of like my potential as this unicorn of a position
Right.
player.
Right.
Because they haven't given him the stats to
He's gonna be in
argue.
that Jimmy Graham position where he's like, yo, pay me like a receiver.
But he doesn't have the numbers to
I know.
argue
I
that. What
know.
he's gonna
I know.
he's gonna pay me because I could be. Or that's gonna be his
And he
argument.
could be. It's just, Art Smith just ain't using them right. But
Just like don't give the ball to 8 for some
I
reason
got
because I don't know what I'm doing.
Seattle over Cleveland. It looks like PJ Walker's gonna get the start.
Deshaun,
Deshaun's out
yeah,
again.
Watson's out indefinitely now.
Yeah. And he came out today and said, like, it's not that he doesn't want to play.
Is it a mental thing?
I don't know. I mean, he got hurt. He was hurt, 2 weeks ago.
They said
You
he's been cleared twice from his injuries.
Yeah,
One
so
of
I
them
don't
being a
know.
concussion. The concussion they don't like to clear because that's a
Right.
potential $1 billion lawsuit that the NFL doesn't want to play. Hence why they have all these concussion neurologists, independent people. So if
Yeah.
they cleared him, yeah,
And
maybe something else.
we got Brock Purdy in protocol. So is he going to be able to go? It sounds like he came back to practice, but we'll see. Either way, I'm picking Cincinnati.
I'm taking
Um,
San Francisco on that one.
okay, I'm taking
Even
Cincinnati
with
coming.
Sam Darnold, I'll take San Francisco.
Ew, you nasty. Okay.
I
You
just
nasty.
think that Kirk Cousins and Kevin O'Connell on Monday night were in such synergy and unison on their play calls because they had perfect play calls. Kirk Cousins had just enough time to make some of these throws because they had a drag route that the underneath linebacker would cover and he would hit the dig route behind it.
Yeah.
Whereas, with a half a second left blocking up front, he would have to throw that little drag route. Fred Warner's right there, 3rd and 7. Now it's 4th and 3. Whereas Fred Warner had to slide with the drag route because the pressure didn't get there. And now, what's the number 4? What was his name? I keep forgetting his name. Palmer?
Drawing a blank right now.
Yeah. So he would come behind that drag route and be open, and now 12-yard gain, first down. That's why they didn't get a lot of points, but they were able to keep moving the ball. But I think those were like perfect play calls for those situations. I'm not sure if Cincinnati has that kind of synergy because a lot of the wide receivers are upset because they're not getting the ball. Joe Burrow last season was 8 yards an attempt. Now he's on a 5.3. That lets me know either because he has the same wide receiver core. So it's not like he lost anything there.
Well, I mean, he was hurt too. You know what I
He was
mean? Like
hurt.
some limited movement and
Limited
not able
movement.
to
But
extend
the
the
wide
plays.
receiver don't care, dog. You out there, I need to
Yeah,
get this
yeah.
ball.
Give me the ball. Yeah,
Get me the ball. I'm open, get me the ball. But it's like, yo, dog, I can't throw that pass consistently because I gotta get rid of it now. So I think San Francisco's gonna give them hell. They're not gonna lose 3 games in a row. So
hey, if Brock Purdy ain't played, it's all off the table. Ravens over Arizona. No big soliloquy there.
yeah.
Kansas City over Denver.
I think that might be tight. I think it
Yeah,
might
it's gonna
is
be
that
tight,
Denver?
but
Is that Denver?
yeah, it's gonna be tight. But Kansas City's gonna win.
I got 28-17, but it'll be a late touchdown by
I
Kansas
can
City.
see it being closer than that. I can
21-17.
see it being
It's
closer
going to
than
be
that. But
21-17, and then Kansas City gets a late touchdown, makes it 28-17, and then that is the game.
The Brandon Staley, Eberflus matchup. I'm gonna take the
Hot seat
Chargers.
versus hot seat. Air
Yeah.
fryer versus deep fryer out here.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Chargers.
I'm going to take Chicago because Los Angeles Chargers defense is on pace to be the worst pass defense in the history of the NFL. That's a long time. 100 years. 100 years.
That is a long time. I just don't
Yeah.
see the Bears getting stops against the Chargers. And then Monday night, of course, I'm gonna pick Detroit, over Oakland, aka Las Vegas.
Whoever thought we get a Lions Raiders Monday night game?
Following Chargers Bears on Sunday night. And then next Thursday night, we got Pittsburgh and Tennessee.
Or is it? Yeah. Yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I
that's
mean?
gonna be awful.
So
There,
yeah.
the boy name he'll be on Derrick Henry will be on another team by then.
Yeah, we'll see.
Probably
We'll see.
Minnesota.
We'll see. And then now, it's time to talk a little baseball. We got the World Series starting tomorrow night. I'm going to take my surprise team, the Arizona Diamondbacks, in 6 games, over the Rangers. Corbin Carroll is my MVP. The Rangers, have never won the World Series. Arizona won it back in 2001, Randy Johnson, Kurt Schilling, all that, but what was interesting to me was I was thinking about this and I heard somebody say on TV, like, so I knew that the Rangers never won a World Series, but it was one of those
Right.
things. It was one of those things that when I heard it on TV, it was like, no, they won one, and I remember they went to back-to-back World Series, about 11, 12 years ago, back in like 2010 and 2011. They lost to the Giants. Giants got hot, and just they ran into them at the wrong time. Then they played the Cardinals the next year, and they were 1 out away. They were 1 strike away. They went up in that game against the Cardinals. They were up 7-4 going into the 7th inning. And David Freese became a star. He hit the 2-run homer when it was 7-5 to get it to extra innings. Then at the top of the 10th, everybody's favorite drug addict, Josh Hamilton.
People loved him.
Yeah, he got more chances than anybody. I don't ever he got. I don't want to do the privilege thing, but he got the chances. You know what I mean? But he hit a 2-run homer, made it 9-7. It was like, oh, the Rangers are finally going to do it. And then Freese came back up and he smacked another one, So the Cardinals ended up winning 10-9 and winning the World Series. It was Heartbreak City for the Rangers. I remember Ron Washington was their manager. He's like the second favorite drug addict, but I think the Rangers are the better team. So that's first and foremost. I do think they are the better team. I think that Arizona's bullpen is just playing well. And when we get to the middle, late innings, like, we watch boxing, they talk about the championship rounds, So when we get to the championship rounds, I think that's where Arizona's advantage lies.
Okay, I'm going to pick Texas because I was born there.
For sure.
And that's it. That's all I'm going with now.
But let's get to this baseball. We talked about it earlier this year. I'm not a fan of the playoff format. I liked baseball's playoff at one point because it was minimum access. So it felt like it meant something. But now we got all these extra wild card spots. But still,
I like the extra ones. I didn't like the 1 game playoff wild card.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
I didn't like that. I like the best of 3. I like the best of 5.
Especially if we've played 13 times this season and I have an 8-5 advantage. I got a tiebreaker already. We don't need to play the 1 game.
But I think what baseball does and what other sports try to emulate is that you can turn your team around if you are willing to sacrifice the prior season. The Royals for years were just bottom feeders of the AL Central.
Mm-hmm.
Just constantly 4th in the AL Central, just always out of the playoff run before around the All-Star break in July. They were just like, your season's done. So they would trade off their best pitcher and they would get the Yankees' best prospects or the Angels' best prospects or whomever. And then those guys would start playing. And then they would be bad again the next year and they would do it again. So they do this for two seasons. And then they come out that 3rd season like gangbusters. And it's like, oh, these guys are on because you traded for these guys. You got them in your system and you prepare for this date where you're going to unleash them on the league.
And speaking of which, put me in for the Tigers next year as my surprise team.
But that's the thing. That can happen. your surprise team can actually be like, I can't with a straight face say, put me in for the Orlando Magic in the NBA Finals because there's no format really other than just the draft.
Right.
Trades are always lopsided. Players have all the leverage. For instance, Dame Lillard. If Dame Lillard was willing to go to Orlando versus being staunched about going to Miami, who just went to the finals, if he was like, yo, if or Kyrie was like, yo, trade me to Orlando, he might take the ball out of somebody else's hands, but you pair it with that young core of players, you got something.
Hmm.
Say's let me think. I watched San Antonio last night. They had a lot of guys, and somebody posted either in one our sports group that we're in together or a different one. And he said, I don't know any of these Spurs players.
Oh yeah, that was Ray John. Yeah.
Yes, but they were playing hard. So with the NBA, they would want you to trade away four of those guys to get Giannis,
Hmm.
and then wonder why your team is successful. It's like, no, in the baseball world, give me your one. I'll give you my one best pitcher. Give me your prospects. Give me your guys that are up and coming. Let me groom them. So it's like I'm willing to accept because the art of a good business deal is that both people walk away from the table unhappy. Because if you got everything you wanted out of the deal, then this other person got fleeced. So everybody has to lose a little something. So I'm gonna lose the starting left-hander that I was paying $25 million to, who's a top quality and MLB pitcher, but you're gonna lose these three prospects that could have been something for your organization, but now they're gonna be something for mine. So
Hmm.
you got to see if this one left-handed pitcher is worth these three prospects, and I have to see if giving up that left-handed pitcher is worth these three prospects. So we're in the same position, but it'll work out for you this year. You'll make the Scherzer move, you'll make the Verlander move, you'll get the ALCS or the NLDS, or you make the World Series, you even win it off of that move, add in the third or fourth, you know, stud right hander, left hander in your pitching rotation.
Hmm.
So you can make that run that year. So you make the trade in June. From June to September, you're unbeatable. Now you make this run through October, you're World Series champions. But the Royals are like, bet in 2 years, that's gonna be us. And we're
Yeah.
gonna go. We're gonna trade some of these other prospects to go get that left-hander from Seattle because they're out of it. And now
Well,
we're gonna make our
yeah,
run.
Oakland does that as well. They get really really young, then they'll get it together, win like 90 games, get into the playoffs for 2 years, and then start all over again.
Yeah,
As they go to Vegas, probably coming up here soon.
which
But
will make the most sense in the world.
but yeah, like so when you look at the NBA, generally the best team wins. In the NFL, you know, it's usually about matchups more than it is about this team has more talent than the other team or whatever. Like Kansas City just has Patrick Mahomes, so they just tend to win a lot. But like generally speaking, it's just, hey, this is probably the best team, but they can't stop Derrick Henry. Or this quarterback just has success against this coach or whatever it might be. So,
Yeah.
in college football, you tend to end up with dynasties because of recruiting, so like the same schools are going to get the great players all the time. And so now the transfer portal is kind of mixing it up a little bit because you get a Michael Penix to Washington, you get Bo Nix to Oregon, so on and so
Get
forth.
Caleb Williams at USC.
Caleb Williams to USC, but in baseball, it's truly like, I don't know what the word is, but it's just random. Like, what pitcher gets hot and what pitcher can pitch on short rest,
Who
you
can
know?
go on 3 days? What?
Yeah.
Because I know MLB managers aren't the NFL head coach, NBA coach. I would say NFL football coaches in general. Football head coaches are known and kind of regarded as these mental tacticians that put things in place that make the engine go. MLB managers don't get that same kind of respect. I think people give them the blame if a
Right.
guy that they put to bat fifth doesn't hit. But if they move that guy from third to fifth and the guy from fifth to third and they both start hitting, they'll give the player credit and the manager is expendable.
Right.
So I think the manager and a lot of baseball teams are expendable. So what you end up getting is this desire to like hold on to these prospects. I think that's probably one of the best attributes that MLB GMs have is that most games are single digit runs. It's not as if the top teams are scoring 11 runs a game and the teams at the bottom are scoring 2 or 3. Like the Pirates and now the Diamondbacks that are representing the National League and the World Series, they probably weren't off in runs. So it's just a matter of like, can we manufacture 5.5 to 6 runs a game?
Right.
Like right now in NFL, you have a team like you said, like Green Bay hasn't scored over
They haven't scored 20 points in their last 4 games.
20 points the last 4 games, where Indy put up 38 on one of the best defenses in the league.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll both go home with the loss. But if they played each other and they look at it like, oh, these guys are averaging 31 and we're averaging 18 as a huge gap. But if a team, they're averaging 5-6 runs a game, they're like, oh, we can make up for that by getting better pitching. We can make up for that by giving up this prospect.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they make that recognition quicker. And I don't want to say it's not a lot of loyalty, but I think the loyalty is to the next move. And they all seem to be willing to make the next move. Some teams hold on a little longer because you give a guy a big enough deal. You give him Machado, 10 years, 330 million. Your Bryce Harper, I think he has like 13 years, 400 million. Mike Trout. So those guys are locked in. But like Greinke, he's moved around. Then you have, just like those kind of guys. Scherzer's moved around. Verlander's gone back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
These
Scherzer
guys are
in the World Series, by the way. Yeah.
so like that's the thing I think with baseball is like it's not that a
39
lack
years
of
old.
loyalty. It's not like a lack of loyalty. I think it's just they are present in the moment that this isn't forever. That's why their playoffs don't last forever. It was like, yo, we got to play this whole season. We got to play 162 game in 181 days or something like that.
Yeah.
So it was like we don't have time to be thinking,
but I still
maybe next week.
But I know when we first started this podcast, you used to always talk about like, how come I don't ever see baseball in my feed? How come I don't see highlights? Like, how come I don't see this? Like, and I'm still not seeing that stuff.
I think because it's becoming a little niche. So you have some world impact, mainly with your Caribbean players, like that region, Dominican, Puerto Rican, Cuban players. So I think that popularity is there. I think there is a passionate group of baseball fans in America that are very dedicated to the sport.
Mm-hmm. But they're all old.
I think that's what they're good with. I think baseball in and of itself, because they are America's pastime, it's played everywhere. Like there's baseball leagues, every community, anyone can get involved. It's not so like, such like this minutia, this niche sport that everyone can play and enjoy. Like I say, you get Dominican kids, they don't have the same financial input to playing the sport like they do in the States. Like a family friend of ours, their son plays travel baseball. And I think the last couple of years they've traveled Tennessee. Years back, they've gone from Jersey to Florida, but he's like, for the most part, the last few years, they've just been all over Jersey, a little Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia. Like they've kind of kept it in that region, but that still costs. So I think that's another thing is like, because so many people play travel baseball. A lot of us play baseball growing up, especially if you're my age. If you're my age, you played baseball a couple of times growing up. You got 2 or 3 trophies and pictures in your house from playing baseball, t-ball, but even, so so it's so if my son was more into baseball, I probably would have him play it more. But he played a couple times. It just wasn't for him. So that I think
Yeah.
that's what it. I think that's what it is. I think because baseball is my dad played baseball, my uncles played baseball, so it's just all those people are still alive. So we all like understand and like want to be involved in baseball. It hasn't like faded away.
Yeah, I don't see young people talk about baseball a lot, just from, the water cooler talk and just within sports groups. Like, you might see a baseball post when the playoffs come, or like you might have one person in your
You
group
might need
that
Taylor Swift to date a baseball player.
maybe that's what it is.
Ariana Grande, at the Dodgers game or something. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe
But
something like that. And I think that's what it is. Like baseball is that's a good way to yeah, that's a good point. Baseball isn't mainstream, even though
they don't
it's a
market their players, even though you can see their
right,
faces. Bryce Harper
right,
should be on everything.
right.
Bryce Harper's face should be on everything. He should be in
Shohei
Verizon commercials.
should be on a cereal box.
Shohei should be in commercials with a translator and make it part of his allure that he can
Well,
hit home runs. He should be
or
in
sometimes like
AT&T
back in the
commercials.
day. Well, back in the day, I used to see we saw Karl Malone and Dennis Rodman with the NWO, and Karl Malone was teaming with Hulk Hogan, or like, you see like Joey Bosa, at or which one plays for the 49ers? Yeah, Joey Bosa.
Nick.
Nick Bosa. You see him at the WWE events, or whatever. Like, I don't see baseball players in
But
that.
that's still kind of catering to another niche environment. I'm talking about in a Head and Shoulders commercial
I mean, yeah,
and
but
a Coca-Cola commercial. So
but
like,
would everybody recognize them? Because I still don't know what Mike Trout looked like.
well, you have to put him in a commercial with his baseball hat on or like a baseball bat in his helmet with no team logo. You know how they do it with
Right,
like the
right, right,
generic.
right, right.
So
Yeah,
you'd have to do that. You have to put them on TV shows in the off season instead of having them go to shows talking about baseball. You put them on a popular sports podcast. You have them talking to Stephen A. Smith. You have them inputting, talking about basketball. Just say, hey, we got Bryce Harper here, Philadelphia Phillies. He's going to talk about how he feels about the 76ers, whatever the case may be. It's just a matter of marketing the face because they don't wear masks.
right.
So it should be easy to sell them. Most of them are, handsome white guys. Let's handsome all American white guys, 6'2", 6'3", brown hair. Some guys are doing a long hair thing. Some guys are doing the beard. So all the things that make them marketable is on a social media platform. Because that's how the NBA players started getting that acclaim. Because social, like I was talking to someone about this years ago, when the NBA players started wearing those crazy outfits to work. Because let's keep it a bean. I get it. Your fashion sense is your fashion sense, but I mean, you out here in a lime green Balenciaga outfit that's baggy up top but tight at the waist, and shower curtain rings at the bottom, and these lime green Balenciaga shoes. It's like I I get it, that's your style, but it looks crazy. But NBA
But people
players
react to it.
NBA players look like models too. Tall, slender, very skinny. Not a lot of guys are bulky. So you have the added of they don't wear a mask. They're global because China's huge in the NBA. They love basketball, and just the sport is global, just like soccer players. So you have this easy avenue to sell them. Baseball players, you have some of those guys that are on that same fashion edge with the Balenciaga stuff, the Chanel bags, and carrying the purses and the Gucci and all these other high end brands, Alexander McQueen, so forth and so on. But that isn't showcased by the like. There's no reason for a
It's
guy to
not
be
in
in the
line with
tunnel.
the baseball principles and what
Yeah, there's no
baseball
reason for
represents.
there to be a cameraman in the underground because they're not even filming the cars. They're inside of the building from the parking lot. So
Right.
they're not even worried about the cars. They want to see the guy what bag he's carrying, if he's wearing a fur, what is he, like
Right.
whatever he's doing. Is he wearing a cupcake hat? Whatever the case may be. So the NBA leaned into that. We'll call it what, 8 years ago?
Give or
About,
take, yeah.
about 8, 10 years ago, to the point where ESPN started doing the commercials about it. Baseball hasn't really leaned into anything outside of baseball to attract people, and I think that's the piece that kind of sets them apart, or sets them back, or apart. Depends on what vantage point you're looking at it. Because to them, we're selling out these stadiums for the World Series, and Fox is playing all of our games. Our contract got renewed, and we got Derek G to be a commentator. We have Ortiz, we got Alex Rodriguez, we have, all these guys coming to contribute on our public forums.
Right. It makes sense. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. It's Friday morning now. Even as I sit here an hour behind Mr. Logical. So we'll be back next week, of course. Keep your eyes out for 2-5 Daily and all of that. Like, review, subscribe. It's all free.
See if any of these picks worked out.
That's right. Enjoy
Texas.
your football.
Let's go, Texas.
Enjoy your football. Enjoy your weekends. God bless. And we love you.
Yeah.
Peace.